love for you to share more about how you're integrating your faith into your investment decisions as a kind of a family holding company.
So, John, the one thing that struck me as I was listening was the need to have our hearts connected and what God's calling us into with our business mindsets and our business abilities, and the idea that, and I think it was a little bit concerning, but as I reflected when I was listening, I was reflecting on the idea in many cases, the secular world is ahead of the followers of Christ of how they're going to reach in and accomplish those sort of heavy capitalistic profit-oriented things, whether it's in the area of climate change or all sorts of ESG sorts of things. Not that those, I don't mean those are bad, but I mean, they seem to be leading and that's what I was hearing. And as I reflected, I think that was in many cases, in my reflections, I think that's true and somewhat discouraging, I guess, that, we need to be out there, I think, really leading in that area of doing business in a way that is creating jobs, breaking down the cycle of poverty, and advancing the gospel of Jesus and his kingdom. And I think that's where I think we just need to be much more conscious about that. That's what I was hearing and certainly reflecting on that. As I think about the journey our family's been on, the parable that we have thought a lot about is the one of the sower of the seed. And obviously that's speaking about sowing the word, but I also think about it just in the pragmatic sense of the farmer who is out sowing seed. And if we think about that as being our financial resources and our business resources, to some extent, I think we heard a little bit about this, is not everything that we put our seed out in, not everything we put our financial resources into that's an entrepreneurial adventure out there is going to produce huge returns. Some of it is going to fall on rocky soil, and it's just not going to take root. But we have to be willing to take that risk. But the thing that we obviously love is when it starts coming up. And one of the things that has driven our family is this idea that as we sow seeds, there's going to be a bountiful return of 30-fold, 60-fold, 100-fold. And that's what we want to do as individuals within our businesses and investing in those companies that are going to produce returns that will continue to generate returns. Not for me. I don't need more return. It's easy for me to be in that upper left because for us, it's always been about charitable giving. And so actually it's sort of a weird mindset that, you're going to get a return on this money that you put at talents. And it's like, I don't need that return. I want those businesses to have that return, that they generate more revenue, more employment. I want the return up there in that upper left side because I want the 100-fold to be going to those entrepreneurs and going to those employees of those businesses. So that's what has been part of our journey, and that's what I get fired up. Right?
And I'd love, DG, question, then we'll go to the floor here for a couple questions. I've always been intrigued as to your perspective with your family businesses about how you make decisions and how you integrate faith into due diligence, into how you then post-investment support. Maybe you could share a story too, rather than just kind of high level, but if there's one that comes to mind where you've seen a breakthrough or a transformed life. So, it's a broad question, but I'll leave it to you to answer it how you like.
Thanks, John. So, the businesses we own are, they're just normal, companies that do different things, staffing, food manufacturing, things like that. And we like to have operating partners who own part of the company, and and we don't have a requirement that they're Christian. And so I've got many stories I could tell. I'll tell one about good friend Todd, who grew up Catholic, walked away from the faith, didn't really have much of a faith journey going on. And so we're working together. And I just personally take a view that I'm going to share about Jesus with people just in the midst of life. It's not because we're going to be together. Todd's running one of the companies. We're going to be together for years. And so there's this one time that we'd spent all day together at a business, and we're now getting ready to take the red eye from Los Angeles back to Chicago. And, it's 11 o'clock at night, and we're sitting at, gate 72, getting ready to get on United Airlines. And he says to me, I've figured it out. I said, "You figured it out?" I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "It's all about faith and grace and the grace of Jesus and putting my faith in him." And I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. So, right there, I still get emotional, as you can tell about it, because so we're still together. We've been now partners for 20 plus years. And, he's got a really good walk with God. He's been through some really tough stuff. But it is just being with people in business. And that's a dynamic. I think that's the thing many of us can appreciate, is being in business with people and sharing life on your life in the midst of that business takes us to places with those people that we would not get with anybody else. We would not have that opportunity. My neighbor that I see, maybe once a week, and maybe have a meal with them once a month. I mean, that takes it, but here, day after day, year after year, of us just living and life together in the home, in the business, on the phone, in the emails, that is so significant. That's what I love about what Talenton does in terms of taking business and using it as a pathway to introduce people to Jesus and living like Jesus with them and in front of them.